What is going on, Lucid fans? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today I want to talk to you about one thing that investors need to always avoid doing when it comes down to Lucid, especially where the market is appearing that it's trending to. I'm going to be talking all about that. And not only that, I want to talk about the latest news about Lucid hiring another executive and what that potentially means for us as investors. Before I get into any of that though, making sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe is always greatly appreciated. With that though, let's get right to it. So as you can see, Lucid did actually pick from the tree, from Apple's tree, if you want to call it that. And so they hired a new VP of platform engineering. And so what does that ultimately mean? It's the customer experience inside the actual vehicle on how it actually operates from the screen, the components behind all of that. And in general, though, a lot of people are already now associating. So since this is now Apple's name, are they going to have a partnership with Apple? Does this mean now that we are going to be seeing a Apple Lucid vehicle or whatever it might be in the coming future? I think a lot of people are immediately jumping to conclusions, but still, there is some credibility to all of this. But more so recently, there was a lot of anticipation that the Apple CarPlay was going to be on their latest big update. But unfortunately, it wasn't really included. During the Q2 earnings, Peter did say that there's going to be a very big update at the end of the year. So hopefully Apple CarPlay is going to be incorporated in that. And as you can see, 𝗪𝗧𝗡𝗘𝗖𝗧, hopefully he is going to be jumping on board to accelerate the whole process. But ultimately, the company enhanced its decade of global experience in software development and user interface experience, including 23 years at Apple. So I think in general, a lot more credibility or association to Apple is gaining more and more momentum, meaning a lot of people are just going to be starting to assume that Lucid and Apple are going to be a little bit more of a partnership. And I recently did a live stream where I said it in a different way. And the way I see things is, for those of you that watch Shark Tank or whatever it is, ultimately Apple is the investors. Lucid is the contestant, or whatever they're called, the entrepreneur, whatever it is. But you guys get what I'm saying. At the end, Lucid has amazing technology. We all know that, just unfortunately the production is subpar. We still have to propose ourselves to the investors, which aka is Apple. In general, Apple has all the power, and that's one association that I've never really liked, because when it comes down to a partnership, typically they both have to give equal into the partnership. So similar to what happened with NVIDIA. Well, Lucid can't really offer NVIDIA too much. They'll have to give money. So in exchange, NVIDIA gives us autonomous driving capabilities up to level 4. So Lucid gives money. Obviously, in that case, Lucid can't really give NVIDIA anything else other than cash. When it comes down to Apple, you have to think about a partnership. Is it actually sustainable? And when you take a step back, hiring 𝗪𝗧𝗡𝗘𝗖𝗧, which in general is a very good move for Lucid, doesn't really incentivize or kind of validate that there's any partnership coming. So it's one of those things. In the end though, Apple did say 2022 is going to be the year that they disclose who their actual partnership is with. So it might be Lucid, you never know, who knows at the end of the day. I'm not a financial advisor or a guru or anything like that, so make sure you guys do your own due diligence at the end of the day. But regardless of all of that, having Derek on the Lucid's team is very good. Like I said, it'll just add to the customer experience, which in general is already fairly good. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below, and let me know your thoughts if you actually do believe that this is just more of a precursor to a Apple Lucid partnership. I know a lot of people deep down really do want that, even myself there. Just I like to look at what happens behind the scenes, and I never would want Lucid to be kind of the guinea pig or being taken advantage of Lucid. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. But like I said, there's one thing that always investors need to avoid doing, especially on what recently came out on Friday. So based on the Powell speech that did come out on Friday, there are some big telltale signs that big things are going to be coming for the market, and not necessarily in a positive way. In here, there's a couple of things I just want to go over. So while higher interest rates, slower growth, and softer labor market conditions will bring down inflation, they'll also bring some pain to households and businesses. These are the unfortunate costs of reducing inflation, but a failure to restore price stability would mean a far greater pain. So that definitely is a little bit more of an aggressive stance. And even in general in here, it does say that there's going to be below trend growth in the coming future. So that's one little bit more of a red flag that caused a little bit more fear in the market on Friday. And outside of that though, it does say that they want to have slightly below 4% interest rates until the end of 2023. So we already knew that they wanted to have roughly about 4%, give or take, interest rates going forward, but not until the tail end of 2023. So that's definitely going to be a little bit more of a red flag. So what I want to say is ultimately, even if hypothetically Lucid does go down, their fundamentals is solid. So they're not going to be out there filing bankruptcy anytime soon. You can see based on their latest earnings, they do have 4.29 billion in cash equivalent short-term investments, 278 million in long-term investments, 2.24 billion in debt, which in general, 2.2 of that debt is low-cost financing until 2026, which it is only, I believe, 1.25%. So very, very small interest rates. So at the end of the day, a lot of bears have already started to come out because of what Powell did say on Friday, saying that Lucid is going to be filing bankruptcy. And even more so, latest news came out for here. 5 things to know about Lucid. Number 1, vehicle production has been bare. We already know that. Saudi is a major investor. Lucid has plenty of cash right now. So in general, I think that's a good takeaway that a lot of people need to realize, that regardless, even if we do go through a recession, Lucid's going to come out. Definitely going to come out of that. Unfortunately, it might cause a little bit more price volatility, and that's the one thing I wanted to stress with you. When there is a lot of volatility, there's going to be margin calls. And similar to what stages on here, I did do a poll on YouTube as well. During this time frame, have you ever been margin called? And surprisingly enough, roughly about 30% of all the roughly about 2,000 people that did vote said that they have been margin called recently. So this is a massive thing that you need to avoid doing, especially if we do potentially go down, and based on the Fibonacci, 1544 might be at least a short-term price. It does get a little bit more worse if you do look at the Elliott wave. It is projecting roughly about $12, give or take around there. So in general though, I think there is a little bit more pain coming in the future, in the short term at least, which if you are on margin, it is a very big flag and causes you undue stress, if you want to call it that. But again, I've been investing since 2009. I've made some mistakes, so I'm just trying to teach you guys. If you guys are on margin, just maybe do your own due diligence. Think about if you actually do feel it is worth it, because if you we potentially do go down as much as we did since January, potentially there's going to be a lot of margin calls, and more so even from the big institutions and big players. Especially from Q1, BlackRock actually lost a ton of money, roughly about 17 billion based on their earnings, and even SoftBank in Q2, they lost 21.7 billion because of huge amount of allocation to riskier assets. But let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. Like I said, I could be completely wrong, the market might be completely wrong, and we could go to $26, but still, it's one of those things that the trend is starting to project that it's going to go down, which I'm sure a lot of us already know. But besides that though, a lot of big money is still buying. So I think it's a little bit more inconsistent information. Once again, I'm a very big bull on Lucid. I know long term it's going to do a lot of good things. It is still first year production company, and it's going to figure itself out with all due time. So while that does happen, just sit back, relax. But if you are on margin, then unfortunately you can't really sit back as much or as comfortable as someone who isn't on margin. Like even in my case, if it goes down to $8, $5 or whatever, I'm still going to be sitting back, drinking my coffee or whatever I drink and enjoying life. Versus if you are worrying about every small movement for Lucid, it takes away from the enjoyment of actually investing, and you actually add a little bit more gambling component to investing, which in reality isn't needed. So that's my own 2 cents on all of that. Hopefully you guys learn a little bit. Like I said, I made this channel because I wanted to make better investors out there and just to give you the facts and what I'm thinking about in the grand scheme of things. But with all of that, don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I greatly appreciate that. Hopefully everyone's having an amazing weekend. With all that, I appreciate you guys watching, and let's all make a lot of money on Lucid.